Hello everybody, I know I usually do Lego animations on my channel, but I felt like doing something else. So, here it is, my interpretation of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through Ultimate Custom Night. Thank you to Gibby's Horror Homestead for inspiring me to do these videos with his theories, and huge thanks to Holden and Matthias for helping out on this video as well. Chapter 1, Humble Beginnings. It's the 1970s and two dudes named William Afton and Henry Emily get the bright idea to open up a jolly old family restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner. Henry has two kids named Charlie and Sammy, while William has three kids named Mike, Dave, not Evan, and Elizabeth. Henry designs the animatronic characters featured at the restaurant, and William focuses on the finances, but deep down, William is secretly a crazy person and is extremely jealous of Henry and is trying to learn how to become a roboticist himself. By 1983, Fredbear's is a moderate success, and Henry and William introduce new characters to the cast. Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, and Foxy the Pirate. They even open a new location featuring these characters called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Chapter 2, Tragedy Strikes. William's son, Dave, is planned to have a birthday party at Fredbear's Family Diner. In the days leading up to the party, Dave sees an employee getting into a mascot suit and believes it to be somebody getting stuffed into the suit based on the urban legends that he heard from kids around the neighborhood. Mike finds out that Dave is scared of the animatronics and bullies his brother by jump scaring him whilst wearing a Foxy mask. In response, Dave tears the head off of his Foxy plush. Eventually, the bullying comes to a peak when Mike and his friends shove Dave into Fredbear's mouth. Of course, Fredbear ends up biting down and killing Dave. Mike is overwhelmed with guilt and tries to apologize to his brother in his final moments. After Mike is finished speaking, William makes a promise to, quote, put his son back together. Chapter 3, William is kind of a crazy dude. So, of course, as we know, William is insane, so he blames Dave's death on Henry. About 2 years after Dave's death, after getting kicked out of a bar for being too drunk, he drives to either Fredbear's or the new location Freddy's, it's kind of unclear, in his iconic purple car, and sees Henry's daughter, Charlie, locked outside of the restaurant by the other children. In a fit of rage, he decides to frickin' murder Charlie, and then drives away in his iconic purple car. What he wasn't expecting was that the marionette animatronic that Henry built to protect his daughter went all the way outside in the rain and tried to protect her. Of course, it failed to do so, but Charlie's remnant, which is basically like her soul, latched onto the metal endoskeleton of the animatronic and basically possessed it. Meanwhile, William, in his iconic purple car, drives back home, only to find out that he is now mysteriously yellow instead of his iconic purple. He then finds out that Mike ran away from home and gets very angry at the little Mike, saying he'll be sorry when he gets back. Chapter 4, The Rest of the Missing Children's Incident. After seeing how the marionette acted seemingly aggressive towards him, William wondered if children's souls could possess animatronics, so of course he decides to murder 4 more kids like a normal person: Gabriel, Susie, Jeremy, and Fritz. He lures them to the back room by wearing the spring Bonnie suit that he used to wear at Fredbear's, and after he kills them, he stuffs their bodies into the mascot costumes in hopes that they will become possessed. They do not immediately become possessed, and William becomes a very sad lad, but the marionette, possessed by Charlie of course, manages to give them life, and they become very haunted and spooky. William wonders if little Dave's spirits possess the Fredbear plush because it had some metal in it for the speaker William used to talk through it. He puts the plush in the empty Fredbear suit, who got redesigned after the bite to have a black hat and bow tie, and he waits. Chapter 5, Sister Location, the Prequel. Now, Willie decides to open up a new restaurant called Circus Baby's Pizza World, with new animatronics designed by him alone with the purpose of killing little kids and stealing their souls. It's only open for 1 day because Willie's little daughter Elizabeth goes into the showroom when no one else is around and freaking dies. Her soul possesses the Circus Baby animatronic. Willie is not deterred by this and instead just sticks them in a giant bunker underneath his house for them to be rented out to customers. Chapter 6, we're finally getting to an actual game. 1987, baby. Fazbear Entertainment opens up a new Freddy's location with redesigned, safer animatronics. William, being the crazy dude that he is, kills yet another child, this one named Cassidy. He stuffs her into the old Fredbear suit, who was redesigned to have a black bow tie and hat after the bite, and he lets the spring locks go off, brutally killing her. Now there are two souls inside Fredbear, Dave, who's in the plushie, who's inside Fredbear. After this, a security guard named Jeremy Fitzgerald works a week on the night shift. The whole William killing Cassidy thing happens the week before Jeremy works at the restaurant. This is shown as there is an investigation going on during his week, and on the day before night 6, the police find Cassidy inside the Fredbear suit. He then moves over to the day shift for one day and, gets his head chomped by Foxy, gets his frontal lobe removed. Poor Jeremy. Hey, remember Mike? He's back in the picture now, under the alias Fritz Smith. He messes with the animatronics in an attempt to free their souls, and, he's a very stinky lad, so he gets fired for being a stinky lad. Chapter 7. Wow, FNaF 1 and 4. A couple of years later, in 1992, Mike takes a job once more as the security guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, this time under the name Mike Schmidt. He ends up working 6 nights without issue, defending himself from the animatronics, but then gets fired on the 7th for tampering with the animatronics and being generally stinky. While working his nights, he hears messages recorded from the previous night guard, Ralph. Ralph also recorded messages at the 1987 location and at the 1985 location specifically to train new employees. But this time, Ralph sadly gets killed and stuffed into one of the suits. Mike, however, finishes his work week, but then of course gets fired on night 7. Now, sometime after this week, it's unclear when, Mike has nightmares about what happened to him as a security guard and the guilt of having killed his brother when he was younger. He dreams he is a kid again and is defending himself from nightmarish versions of the animatronics from Freddy's in his childhood bedroom. Eventually, on the 8th night of these nightmares, he faces off against the embodiment of his guilt, a black bear with a yellow hat referred to as Nightmare. He survives his dreams and is very happy, but also still sad about both of his siblings, being dead and his father being a child murderer. Chapter 8. Follow Me. Willie decides that it's his turn to tamper with the animatronics too, so he takes them apart and puts some of their remnant into the Funtime animatronics at Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental. But when he comes back for the 5th time to get some more parts, the souls of the victims spook him, so he hops into his Spring Bonnie suit to try and spook them. But since the building is super dilapidated, there is rain leaking inside of the building, so he freaking dies and gets spring locked. Chapter 9. Sister Location. After finding instructions left by William before he died, Mike decides to go down to Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals to put his sister back together. He goes down the elevator down to the bunker for 5 nights. He traverses through various minigames, some easy, some excruciatingly difficult, night 4, and throughout, Circus Baby, who of course is possessed by Elizabeth, acts as Mike's guide and tells him where to go in order to survive. Except she doesn't realize it's Mike, and her and the other animatronics presume him to be William. But she still helps him anyway. Unfortunately, it was all a ruse, and she was planning on betraying him the whole time. Her and the other animatronics form into this guy called Ennard, and on the 5th night, Mike enters the scooping room. Now, to talk about the scooping room. Basically, there's this machine called the scooper that is used to inject remnant into the animatronics, and Mike just so happens to walk into the scooping room and gets scooped. He gets injected with a ton of remnant. He also gets his internal organs removed, and Ennard enters inside him and wears his body like a skin suit for a week. Eventually, Mike's body decomposes and Ennard throws himself up into the sewer. When all hope is lost and it appears Mike is dead, he hears his sister saying, "You won't die," over and over again, and eventually he comes back to life. I'll play the clip here, so yeah.
You won't die. 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 You won't die.
Mike is like a purple corpse man, but not really because Remnant heals you. So Mike decides that he's going to find his father, but then he has to wait for like 20 years until something happens. Chapter 10. Wow, a Fazbear Fright. It's 2015, baby. 30 whole years after the missing children incident, and about 20 years since we last saw our father and son duo. Some guys who grew up on the ghost stories surrounding Fazbears decide to open up a haunted house called Fazbear's Fright, inspired by all the old murders that took place there. Very controversial decision, I might add. Mike finds out about this and wonders if it's a way to find his father and take him down. He takes a job as the security guard, and a little while into his job, the owners of Fazbear's Fright find William's rotting corpse inside the safe room of the old pizzeria. They find nothing wrong with putting an actual dead body inside of a haunted house and move William into Fazbear's Fright. After 6 nights of evading being murdered by his father, Mike decides to light the building on fire to just be done with it. Sadly, this does not wind up killing William. Chapter 11. Guess who's back? Henry's back. So, while all of this stuff with Mike has been going on, the other founder of Fazbear's, Henry Emily, has been making arcade games to contact the flip side. The flip side is basically the spirit realm that can be affected by the outside world and vice versa. He has been recreating all of the horrific acts done by William in the form of these arcade games. These are the hidden 8-bit minigames that you play throughout the series. It is unclear who is playing these games, but I personally believe it's Charlie, as that's who you play as in Happiest Day, so it makes sense for her to be the one in the minigames, but some others believe it to be Cassidy. So, Charlie sets up Dave's birthday party once again, but this time in the flip side. She makes the party go well instead of him getting chomped, and this sets the MCI kids and Dave free. But you know who's not here? Cassidy. Cassidy doesn't get a Happiest Day, and that's why Golden Freddy isn't present in the good ending screen for FNaF 3. The good ending is the canon one, but Cassidy's soul is never freed because she is the vengeful spirit. She can't rest until William pays for what he's done. Also, it's more evidence for her being killed in 1987, because Happiest Day frees all 5 MCI kids and Dave, but not Cassidy, who died later. And the MCI kids aren't fully freed because Ennard still exists, and that has part of their remnant in it. Chapter 12. Mike becomes an entrepreneur. After William survived the FNaF 3 fire, parts of the MCI kids who were still in Ennard didn't get set free, Elizabeth didn't get set free, and Mike is walking around as a giant purple corpse dude. Henry decides that it's time to end it all and contacts Mike to be the owner of a new Freddy's place. But it's not actually a real restaurant, and it's a trap to catch all of the souls that were left and to set them free. Mike works for 6 days, and on day 6, he and Henry light the building on fire, setting all of the spirits free. Henry gives possibly the greatest speech in gaming, and I will play it for you now.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Chapter 13. Guess what? Cassidy isn't finished yet. That fire may have been the ending for most of the characters in the franchise, but you know who wasn't present? Cassidy, of course. She decides that she's still very vengeful and traps William in a hell that appears to be a more difficult version of what Mike had to go through while working as a security guard at Freddy's. William dies over and over again to the animatronics, while Cassidy controls all of them. So yeah, that's basically the story of the first 7 or 8 games, depending on how you think about it. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I worked really hard on it. I will most likely make a sequel to this video sometime, talking about the novel trilogy and all the weird stuff that comes with that. Well, farewell, see you later. Watch one of my LEGO animations if you'd like. Subscribe and like as well, please. I would love this video to be my big break on YouTube. Talking about Five Nights at Freddy's is very fun. Alright, end communication.